Greetings, everyone. So we're gonna start with the next experiment of the DBMS lab today in this video. So we're gonna start with triggers. So what triggers basically means is it is given with a set of instructions and an condition. So when it comes to the instruction, so it looks whether whether the condition is satisfied or not. Until the condition is satisfied, it doesn't stop. So it acts just like a loop in programming languages. So we're gonna so these triggers are useful for automatically executing a SQL script or stored procedure when a specified event occurs in a table. So we're going to learn to create before and after triggers. So there are a set of questions or tasks given to complete. So we'll look into that. Uh, in this, it is given that to create a before insert trigger for the user table that ensures that the password are at least 8 characters. So here we create it. So create trigger. This is the name for the trigger. So before insert. So before we give the uh, data, before insert on user table, for each row, begin. If length new dot password is less than 8, then the signal SQL state, that is, this is the error code. It sends us a message that the password must be at least 8 characters long. And if the condition is satisfied, it ends. And this is to break the delimiter. So here, the second task is to create a before update trigger for the user table that does not allow the email addresses to be null. So here we start to create the trigger. This is the trigger name. Before update on the user table. For each row, we start from here. If new dot email is null, then the signal state, this is the error code. This throws up the error. Email address cannot be null. And this ends if the condition is satisfied. That's so the So the third task is to create a before delete trigger for the user table that prevents the deletion of users with specific email domains. So here, this it starts from here. We start from here. So we create the trigger with the trigger name before delete on user table for each row. Begin a fold dot email like uh, given here. Then if it matches this, it throws up the error with this error code. And when this condition is satisfied, it ends here. So the fourth task is to write an after insert trigger to count number of new tuples. So we here, so here we insert into the log values into the user table, and here we create the trigger to count user tuple. After insert on user table, for each row we check, it begins to update insert log. It sets a row count where table name is equal to our user table. And when this condition is satisfied, this comes to a halt. So we'll hop on to the fifth task. So create an after update trigger for the user table that signals when a user email is changed. So here we create the trigger, we create a trigger, the name. After update, after update on the user table. For each row, we start from here. It checks each row. If old email is related to new email, then it throws us with a error message. So this concatenates this to this with this, and create gives us a new error message. So and if this condition is satisfied, these conditions are satisfied, it ends here, and the program comes to the halt. So the sixth task is to create an after delete trigger for the user, table that signals when a user is deleted. So we create a trigger with the trigger name after delete on user table for each row. We start from here, insert into trigger log message. So this concatenates this with this. So the username is deleted and the username is display. The deleted username is display, and it comes to a halt here. So the seventh question is to create a before insert trigger for the event table that ensures the event data is in the future. So this creates a trigger before insert on event table for each row. We start from here. If the new date is less than the current date, so this signals an error code and this displays an error message. And when this condition is satisfied, it ends here and it comes to a halt. So the eighth question is to create a before update trigger for the event that raise an error when the venue ID of the event is greater than 109. So here we start to create the trigger with the trigger name before update on the event table for each row. For each row, we start to check. So from here it starts. So if the new venue ID is greater than 109, it will show up an error. So and when these conditions are satisfied, it ends here and it comes to the halt. So the ninth question. So the ninth question here is to create an after delete trigger that signals that an event is deleted. So we create a trigger with the trigger name after delete on event table. For each row we check in. We start, insert into trigger this values of concat. So this joins this statement with the uh, output. So here the event is deleted. This message shows up along with the value, and this comes to the end. So the 10th, hopping on to the next question, we have the 10th. So this states to create an after update trigger for the event, a table that displays the message. Event time is updated when the event time is changed. So we start to create the trigger with the trigger name. After update on event table for each row, we get default time relates to new time. Then we insert into trigger. This is the error message. So this is the output message. So this shows the value. This shows the message. This is the message. This message here. So this is the message. So when this happens, so it, it shows this, and when this condition is satisfied, it comes to the end. So and it halts the execution. So hopping on to the 11th question, we create a before insert trigger for the venue table that ensures the name of the venue is not empty. So here we create the trigger with the trigger name. Before we insert on venue table, for each row we check. We start from here. If the new name equals blank or new name is null, then the SQL state will throw an error message with the error code. So this is the error message, and after this is complete, so it ends and it halts. So this is a 12th question. So we create a before delete trigger for the venue table that prevents deletion of the venue ID is less than 105. So we create a trigger before we delete on venue table for each row. If old venue is less than 105, it throws up an error. After the condition is satisfied, it ends. So in the 13th question, we create an after insert trigger for the venue table that displays a message when the new row is added in it. So we create a trigger after insert on venue table for each row we check. It starts from here. It inserts value. It shows the message after it is done. So this is the message. So after the message is displayed, it stops. So coming to the last question, we create an after update trigger for the menu table that signals when a row is updated. So here the row, we create a trigger after update on menu table for each row we check. So this starts from here. This shows the error message, I mean the output message. So this is the output message. So when this is displayed, this comes to an end. So all the queries were looked, all the queries were executed, and no errors were found. So as we can see, all the errors are no errors are here as of here. So that's it. Thank you.